Okay,
I
great.
wonder if I could buy one of his brownies off you.
Yeah.
So show me the zoom real quick before we go further.
Randy got a one.
I want to zoom it back as far as we can go.
Brownie.
Great. That was basically it. So this toroid that you have, how does that work? Well, what does it do? First of all, this.
The simplest thing to understand these toruses is they're I like toroids. Toroid sounds nice. They're resonance circuits, and they're resonance circuits based on different ratios. And so there's the Star of David, the hexagram. That's the simplest and most common. That one is purely based on the doubling sequence.
Okay.
And that's the geometry of the doubling sequence, is the Star of David.
Okay.
The octagram is, to me, is the geometry of the Fibonacci sequence.
All right, which I know of, but I don't know.
And so,
Could you give me an example of a Fibonacci sequence?
the Fibonacci sequence is taking one number and adding it to the next. Doubling sequence is
So
just doubling.
1, 2,
1,
3,
5,
6.
no, 5.
1, 2, 3. Oh, you just
Two,
took the
yeah.
two most recents.
2, 3, 5, 8,
Normally,
13, 21,
Got it.
34. Now, in the vortex math, you break those all down to a single digit.
Whenever you're giving somebody something.
You get a 24 number sequence that repeats.
Right on. Okay.
And so usually they'll say it keeps going toward infinity. And that's in terms of quantitative. But when you use qualitative, it's a 24-step sequence. And so the octagram consists of a 72-string sequence, which is the Fibonacci sequence oscillating 3 times. So you have 3 oscillations happening in the sequence. This string wraps around itself 8 times. In the process of it wrapping around itself 8 times, it creates a triple helix. But that triple helix is composed of the same line.
Okay, I get that.
And so to make that, I take 3 pieces of steel and twist them 8 times and then bend them around and weld them to themselves.
Right on. Okay. What are the...
And so the metaphor I like to use is that geometry is a stage. And there's different stages you can create because each stage has a different performance. What the math tells you how to do is how do you play the music just right so the dancers dance on the stage and it flows beautifully and no one trips over themselves.
Okay.
And because the dance is this type of dance, they get to keep dancing and dancing and dancing. And it's because the way they dance with each other is you stop using your own energy to dance and you can just feed off each other to keep dancing.
Get into the groove.
Boy, you got to prove your love to me.
I started the day.
Yeah.
I started the day with Don. It's quite nice.
Well, one thing I wanted to share, because someone said it to me tonight, and I'm going to keep going with this, is so the last thing with Nassim tonight is I walked up to him, I handed him a piece of paper, or an envelope, and the irony with handing him this envelope is that I wrote him like a 2-page letter today during the workshop, and I realized, I want to give him one of my photographs. I've been doing photography for about 10 years, and I have like 150 different photos in my portfolio with me, and I've just been basically handing them out like business cards to people.
That's cool.
And whenever I get a ride, picked up hitchhiking, or anyone does me a favor, I give them one. And I'm looking through it to think of what one do I want to give them, and I come across Cleopatra's Needle. That's an obelisk taken from Cleopatra's temple in Egypt to Central Park in Manhattan.
I was there recently. I've got a couple pictures of it on my phone.
It's a really cool monument. The energy is great.
It's pretty neat there. I've got some pictures on Facebook right there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Just saw it like 3 weeks ago.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was in Manhattan a little over a month ago, but I didn't go to Central Park. And so I write on the back of the postcard of the picture, and I stick it, and I fold up the paper the way I want to fold it. And I just folded it the way I want it folded, and then I just started ripping out a piece of paper to make the envelope for it.
Right.
And right as I'm like ripping this paper to make the envelope, all of a sudden I start hearing Nassim talk about obelisk, and he's like, and there's the one in New York City, da da da.
And you were just starting to do that picture.
And I was starting to do that, and like I sort of stop and like I'm listening more and more, and then he's like, he's talking about the obelisk. No way. And so I then add to the picture, and so it's just about to seal this all in an envelope, and you start talking about putting like capital letters this obelisk.
Right.
Just had to let you know. And
That's the picture you gave me.
Oh, that's a nice picture.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it in the fridge.
And so I go up to Nassim and I hand him this layer and I tell him about my team and what we're doing.
What is your team and what are you doing? Hey.
Well, at the moment, the team consists of Trevor Kagan, myself, Paul Ellis, and Daniel Nunez.
These guys?
No.
I've forgotten some of your names already.
I'm in the
so-
different
bullpen.
crew.
I'm in the bullpen.
You're in the bullpen, okay.
Daniel's just getting pulled on, it seems, and he really wants to work with us. I'm pretty confident he is working with us. And Daniel's out of Brooklyn, Paul's out of Ohio, I'm out of Asheville, North Carolina, and Trevor's out of Tampa. And Paul, Daniel, and I are all inventors. All four of us are into vortex math very heavily. Trevor is the business guy, the spokesman for, you could say, our group, but he understands the vortex math intimately. And so Daniel and Paul each have over 80 devices, and I'm not going to go into Daniel's is working. His is fully public on the internet. Paul is not really sharing his anymore on the internet.
Is he working on something special that he's keeping back from the internet, or?
It was on the internet, but I'm not sure how much I'm at liberty to say on camera.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Move over.
And I am working on a 30-foot Tesla tower, which is pretty much done. It's done. It just needs to be erected on the private. The irony is that was supposed to happen this week.
Oh, you were supposed to be erected this week for a first time turn on?
Yes. Well, it might have not been turned on. It will have been put up, and there's a process. There's a process of tuning the tower, which could take a few days to a week or two. I bet it could get working in a few days.
Right on.
But
Is this one of those things that started the fire in Russia?
no.
Okay, just checking. That's one of the myths about.
So I was telling him about our team, and the things that are happening. One thing I can share is one of the things that just took off is there's a show called Touch coming out. It's made by the creator of Heroes.
Okay.
And it's about an autistic boy who's really good at math and physics. And so they want to take the math and physics we're working on and put it into the show.
Oh, nice.
And so every week, mainstream TV is going to be starting indoctrinated in vortex math and fringe 0-point energy physics.
Sweet.
And really,
it's about time, really.
It's about fucking time. and so I even tell Nassim that part. And so I was laying out the things, and I caught his attention. I told him that I'm going to be, on Maui for, about 12 more days or so, and then I have to fly back out. But I'm willing to come to Kihei and sit down with you and share with you in person what we're working on, the advancements in vortex math, that we've gone way beyond what Marco's done, and have practical applications for it. And he stumbled on something. He's like, wait, when can you fly out? And then anyways, he's like, we will have a discussion.
Nice.
And so someone who I talked to right afterwards, and he says, he was talking about, he put the forward notion, he's like, I'm putting my intent right now into you going to Kihei, and you're going to sit down and you're going to talk to Nassim Haramein about what you're doing. Because from my conversations I've had with you, I feel you need to go there. And the thing that it relates to is that's how I ended up here. And that Brandon felt that I needed to come here, and he got me here, but at the same time, he only was able to put up half the money for the trip. I really needed about $1,000. And so I started calling a few people, and Trevor, one of them, and we just put down a bunch of money on something. He was able to give me a little bit of money. And then from some other people, I got a little money from my parents, a little money from people in Asheville, and then I made a video on YouTube and basically said, hey guys, if you've been watching me for a while and you really think I'm onto something, and it's everything I've been saying is worthwhile and makes sense and it's actually going somewhere, and you feel that I should meet Nassim Haramein, then help me get here. And even this morning, or last night, we got back, and for a second,
How would I find you on YouTube?
Gregor Arturo 85.
Gregor Arturo 85?
Yeah.
Sure.
So last night I got a PayPal donation. I keep getting them like every day, getting like one a day, and someone sent me 1,011 check, whatever that is. But I didn't know it was check at first. I thought someone sent me $1,000. And I was like, no way! And I'm like, wait, this is check. I don't know what that is, but that's awesome. And it was like $50 US.
I'm hoping to hit.
And so there's been at least 10 people who have thrown down money to help me get here and help manifest this. And so what I'm even saying with you guys right now is if there seems something really solid when I'm talking about with the math, or even gets a hint that maybe this guy knows something, maybe this mathematician needs to go talk to this physicist. And then help with this intent that Nassim has this letter and that he's going to open this letter tonight or tomorrow morning when he's on the plane. Or he's not flying out tonight, he's flying out tomorrow. So when he's on the plane, that's why I kept visualizing him sitting on the plane, opening this letter and being like, damn. And so I lay out the math in it for the Star of David, and how the Star of David is that's the doubling sequence. What we understand as the doubling sequence comes from the Star of David. And so, and being his work is all in the tetrahedral grid, and it looks like the Star of David, I'm giving him the lower dimensional information of what he's worked on the higher dimensional information. And so, I feel with this obelisk and all the synchronicities and everything that's going to happen, and he's starting a new lab, and he needs someone who can run a mill. I can run a mill. He had a picture of his device being on a mill and them fabricating it, and so I'm going to really push my way into this potential to work side by side with Nassim and get something going. Because I almost said it today, is when he had that device up and he was answering my question about over Unity, I almost wanted to say, is like, I can improve your device. There's some things you can definitely improve in what you're doing in that device. But I did it. I held back. I didn't want to sound cocky.
Well, his is the prototype, and like all good prototypes, it's just the first step of many. Exactly, and so you're getting it at just the right time when he only has a prototype, because no prototype is the completed model. There's always work done after the prototype.
Yeah. And so there's some old school electromagnetics in that.
Get you there too.
Thank you.
Well, that's a good time. We got 3 or 4 days for my Facebook to submerge in there. We might be there with like some people there.
So all you guys were there, yeah?
Yeah. So I just want to state.
Now you didn't learn as much as some of these other people may have learned. Yeah, is that fair?
But he started with a better knowledge base than some of the
Right.